Deep within the shadows of the ancient mountains, there existed two completely different worlds. In the low valley, where the trees grew thick and dark, lived Kale the Crow. Kale was a creature who survived on noise. To Kale, existence meant being heard. Every single morning, the moment the sun touched the leaves, Kale would fly to the center of the forest and begin to scream. He screamed when he found a tiny seed. He screamed when he moved from one branch to another. He believed that the louder he was, the more important he became. The other animals of the valley, the small rabbits, the nervous deer, and the busy squirrels, always gathered around him. They mistook his loud voice for wisdom and his constant bragging for strength. Kale loved the attention. He spent his entire day talking about his great plans, his incredible speed, and how he owned the entire forest. He was the master of empty words. But high above the valley, on the cold, isolated peaks where the wind cut like glass, lived Silas the eagle. Silas was a creature of absolute silence. His wings were massive, his claws were like steel, and his eyes could see a mouse from miles away. Yet Silas never made a sound. He did not boast. He did not scream to tell the world he was flying. He simply caught the thermal winds and glided through the endless sky, observing everything with calm, quiet focus. To Silas, energy was a sacred gift, not something to be wasted on empty noise. From his high branch, he watched Kale the Crow bragging to the animals below. Silas did not judge him. He did not look down on him. He simply remained silent, focusing on his own path, maintaining his absolute discipline. He knew that true power didn't need an audience to prove its existence. As the weeks passed, Kale's arrogance grew too large for the valley. He began to believe his own lies. One afternoon, looking up at the high peaks, he saw Silas sitting quietly on a lonely rock. Kale flew up to the highest branch he could reach, puffed out his black chest, and screamed so the whole forest could hear. "Silas!" Kale mocked, laughing loudly. "Everyone calls you the king of the sky, but you just sit there like a frozen stone. Look at me. I fly faster, I talk louder, and the whole forest respects me. You are weak, Eagle. I challenge you to a race. Tomorrow morning we will fly from the base of the mountain to the absolute highest peak. Let the world see who the true king is." Silas did not blink. He didn't turn his head. He simply nodded once in complete calmness. The challenge was accepted in silence. The next morning, the base of the mountain was chaotic. Hundreds of animals had gathered to watch the historic event. Kale the Crow was jumping from rock to rock, shaking with nervous excitement. He spent over an hour talking to the crowd, explaining his brilliant strategy, and telling everyone exactly how he would humiliate the quiet eagle. "He is too slow. He has no energy," Kale shouted. The crowd cheered. Then Silas arrived. He descended from the clouds without a single sound, landing softly on a boulder. He didn't look at the crowd, and he didn't look at Kale. He simply spread his majestic wings, waiting for the signal. While the crow wasted his breath on the ground, the eagle saved his energy for the sky. The signal was given, and the race began. Kale the Crow flew off like a black rocket. He flapped his wings violently, screaming at the top of his lungs, trying to show the crowd below how incredibly fast he was. He pushed his body to the absolute limit in the first few minutes, constantly looking back to see if Silas was catching up. Silas, however, did not rush. He did not move his wings aggressively. He simply stood on the rock, analyzed the wind currents, and gently lifted himself into the air. He caught a warm current of wind and began to glide upward, slowly, steadily, and with perfect, unbothered focus. To the animals below, it looked like the crow was winning, but the eagle knew the real journey had not yet begun. As they reached halfway up the massive mountain, the warm valley air disappeared. The atmosphere became freezing cold, the air grew extremely thin, and a violent storm began to brew. Heavy dark clouds rolled in, and the wind began to roar. This was the moment of truth. Kale, who had wasted all his energy screaming and trying to look fast at the bottom, suddenly realized his mistake. His wings felt heavy like lead. His chest burned because he couldn't breathe the thin air. The violent wind pushed him around like a dead leaf. He looked up through the dark storm, terrified. And there he saw Silas. The eagle was majestic. He wasn't even flapping his wings. He was simply using the violent storm winds to lift himself higher and higher. Silas embraced the challenge in complete silence, rising above the clouds effortlessly. Silas reached the sunlit peak of the mountain, standing in pure golden light as the undisputed king of the sky. Meanwhile, far below, Kale the Crow fell back into the dark forest, exhausted, defeated, and completely humbled. His noise could not save him when the real storm arrived. This is the ultimate law of success. True power does not need to make noise to prove itself. While the weak talk about their small plans and beg for attention, the strong work in absolute silence. Do not tell the world what you are going to do. Work hard, stay disciplined, survive the storms, and let your results be your noise. Focus on your goals, remain silent, and let your success speak louder than your promises.